Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
So, looking for parts that you'd like to get to know better or change your relationship with.
Well, I've been changing my relationship with this one that we worked with last time. This one in her 20s.
Yeah.
Just giving her lots of room and developing more of a connection with her.
Uh-huh.
Not every day, but most days. And some days that's been me moving towards her, and other days it's been her moving towards me as a reminder when I forget or have other things happening.
Uh-huh.
So it's been really great, really, just to have that happen.
Awesome.
And important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, the difference between the relationships that I form with younger parts versus this one, I think you mentioned something around how just when you're older, when you're more of an adult, that there is the parts have a different, the relationship that you can have with them is different, and the levels of parts within parts can be greater and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that one of the main features that's come up has been around, this collapse part or feature that she has. And when we were speaking about it in the call last time, it was about the pain being too great, the kind of emotional pain being too great. But what I kind of fine-tuned that a little bit in as much as seeing that often the content of the pain was hatred, was self-hatred, or the moving towards self-medicating or numbing that was because the self-hatred was so great and so constant. Yeah, so that was just interesting to kind of really recognize that, remember how much I hated myself and how constant that dialogue was and how total, complete it was. It was about my body, it was about my face, it was about how useless I was and so on. So just giving that some space, letting those words come out. And and I've sort of done that in another call, I think, as well.
I think the one I published today.
Okay. Yes, that's right. Yes, because I just listened to that. Yeah, that was great. That part really had a good opportunity to say all of those words out loud. Yeah, it was just such a feature of so much of my life. Just hatred and loathing, turned inwards. So that's, I guess, more a reflection of what's been going on. And then the other day, I was on my way to work. Oh, that's right. I did a dance class, and she played a track by Massive Attack, and Massive Attack were huge for me. That whole kind of 90s. I don't know how to describe it, but there was a lot of like Portishead and Massive Attack and that theme, Radiohead, that theme of like very sort of deep, dark, or at least what it facilitated for me was those parts that were in that place of deep, dark, and it really suited and matched that type of music. And music was huge for me. Like, it was really where I went to, one of the places I went to for solace. And it was always very solitary. Like, it wasn't music that I shared and listened to with others. It was just home. It was a home for me. It was a place of refuge. But the first album, Massive Attack album, was very significant for me. And because I listened to this track in the dance class, I then went and listened to, the works of, and I don't know, music is so, it's something, it's like smells, it sort of takes you right back to that place. And so I was just driving to work and listening to it and just kind of howling. There was just this beautiful, she was really crying the way that she used to cry to that music. But what was different was that I was there. And so there was this powerful process that I went through with her of being able to cry in that way, and that ocean of tears type thing. But she wasn't alone in that. She wasn't doing that on her own. And so that was really, it's just been a lovely sort of healing process, I suppose, is what I'm
sounds
trying
like
to
it.
say in
it's
the
awesome.
last fortnight of really being with her in her pain and in her story and in her expression of those difficulties.
That's great.
Yeah. And fleshing it out, the story, the recognition of the feelings of being alone and the reasons for those, the story underpinning those, that.
And seeing the deepening of the story as you're spending the kind of consecutive time with her. I don't know. It's also been my experience with the teenage parts and the 20s parts, where they have a much more complex story to tell, and it oftentimes, at least my parts, and staying with them over the days, many days, is really fruitful.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. And also more useful, like, it's great to do the work in a call, and the depth is often more accessible, but because of the complexity of a part that's older, it needs like any relationship, it takes time to build. So having those days has been really great to just build that and build her confidence in me, and just getting to know her.
Awesome.
More reacquainting myself with her, I guess, is more the truth of it.
One thing jumped out at me when you were describing all of that, and we don't have to go there, but I was wondering if when you talk about the self-hatred, is that the same quality as a part that you've called rage in the past? And rage has been a part that's been in a box or we didn't go to.
No, I would say it's more of a kind of critical, a critic part.
Okay.
Let me I'm going to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to feel into it before answering, actually. Are you asking if rage is, if the part that is being critical and hateful is rage?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so, but I think that I feel like it. Okay, what it feels like is that the parts popped out as a result of the rage which is suppressed. That's my feeling.
Okay.
So like underneath is the rage that's being squashed inside the box. So I don't know the answer, Jane.
Okay.
I'm trying to feel it
Mm-hmm.
rather than, answer with my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think I need to just sit with it for a while beyond the call.
Okay.
To know if that's what the answer is.
Okay.
Or maybe I'll just sit with it now for a bit more.
All right.
I don't know what the answer is.
Okay.
But I like the question. I think I'm finding it a little difficult because I've been just the talking that we've done has been more heady.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I haven't kind of dropped in enough to be able to, it's kind of a complex question for me.
It
for
is.
my system.
And I was just, I just remember the rage having come up repeatedly, and I was just kind of a shot in the dark of just kind of, is there some connection between that?
I think there's a connection.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what the connection is.
Okay.
I'm just writing a little bit. I'm curious about it, that's for sure. I'm still trying to nut it out, though. And I think I need to access more of it from within.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to see where I want to go now.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm kind of asking around about who's here, and something keeps tapping me on the shoulder about something I wrote about yeah, it has to do with intimacy and how difficult I find it, and but I've got lots of opposition to going there.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of opposition to going to somewhere that's really far back, like, because the connection I made was that, you know, we're wired for intimacy when we come into the world, and if we don't get that, we have to tell ourselves a different story. You know, we have to.
That's right.
You know, and so because that connection to how I feel about intimacy now goes all the way back to the very beginning. As in that, maybe that baby in the bassinet, there's a big resistance to going back that far and that young and that deep. And there's a part that wants to stay sort of playful and light. I can feel that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what to do with that.
All right. Well, it's noted. Just noticing the parts.
Yeah. Before we started the call, I just had a little meditation, and I asked who was here. And this figure popped up in front of me, and I think it was this one in her 20s. And we just had a little chat, and she was talking about wanting to sort of relive her 20s and do the things that people in their 20s do that are normal.
Yes.
She sees it. And I just really feel that. I really feel that from her and in me, of, you know, building things, like studying things that allow us to have successful careers, and also having lots of joy and lightness and fun and playfulness with friends, and that was really that real emotional release I did in the car on the way to work, was around grieving, not having had that.
Right.
And I'm jumping around a bit, I know. I'm wanting to find the thing. I'm wanting to find the nugget to work with, to make the call useful and productive and good for you and good for the podcast and good for.
I'm having a blast. So there's nothing that you need to change or do or add or subtract.
Okay. Yeah, there's an agenda part though that wants to do the work and and get it right and hit the marks and make it useful.
Well, and you've done so much work. You've done so much work with this part, for example, and you've talked about the depths that you can get to, or the context, the stuff you can learn beyond what you can do in a call with me. So I don't know, I just want to acknowledge that as one of the outcomes of doing the work is that sometimes there isn't a bunch up that feels like it needs your attention.
Yeah, I've got a big emotional response to that. It's like feels like I've sat back in to my seat and the part that was talking before was kind of I guess connected to urgency, that kind of striving, trying to get it right, and looking for the answers. Just desperately trying to find the right answer.
Yeah.
Get it right and get it right. And looking outside of itself for the answers, like not trusting.
Right.
Not trusting the dropping back within for the answers, and also not wanting to go back, to drop back within, because there's danger in doing that.
Right. That's the danger around the collapse stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And being too much, for somebody. Too deep, too complex, too intense. Yeah, that good old pendulum between too much and not enough.
Right.
Somebody. For Mum. And too much. Too intense. Too complex. Too deep. Keep it light.
Right.
Don't feel. Just letting it know it's welcome.
I was just going to ask.
I got this image of like a tight sphincter. And it's like that's what it has, some part has to create to keep this other business bottled up. And not visible. And it feels strangely connected to joy, joyfulness and playfulness. It's like all the party is inside here. Like, yes, there's depth and intensity and complexity, and with that comes pain and intolerable pain. But there's also what do I mean?
I think I get what you mean.
It's like there's fruitfulness, there's fruit and life in there. It's like all of life is in there, all of the layers and all of the colors. all of the wonder is in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the complexity is also, is all of the colors.
Yep.
All of the layers and all of the different kinds of fruit, and not just crackers.
Yeah, and then the closing off and saying, the part saying, and it's best not to open that.
Yeah, but that part is like, there's no life up there. It's just dry.
Mm-hmm.
And, or not even ordered. It's just kind of, maybe that's the sphincter idea as well. It's this like tight, the lips are tight. There's no, it's desiccated.
Right.
Yeah, dry. Yeah. So it's this sort of desiccated form. She doesn't have any, there's nothing ripe or, you know, alive really.
Mm-hmm.
But she's holding order.
Right. And you extended a welcome to that part.
I'm just working on that. I'm just working on that. Because I could feel some judgment around her. I feel judgment towards her.
Okay.
Not just judgment. I'm just noticing the judgment. She's in this room and it's like, not even all white. It's just kind of all beige and pale grey and no colour. And she's just sitting on a chair, and her colour, the clothes that she's wearing are that colour, and she's that colour.
Yeah. Dry crackers color.
Dry cracker colour. And the room is that colour, and she's that colour, and everything is that colour. And there's no life. I mean, she's alive. She's got just one job, and that's keep all of that other stuff contained.
Yes.
That's her life, sole purpose.
And how's the judgment part?
Well, I mean, how is the judgment part? She was just the first thing that came. The judgment was just the first thing that came up.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just more flooded with curiosity than anything.
Okay.
The judgment part is just this little kind of, I don't know, it's there. It's just saying, oh, you old dried up thing, you old dried up old woman.
Yeah.
But it isn't loud enough for it to be a problem.
Okay.
It's just important to notice it.
Yes. All right. So you're showing the dry part, your curiosity.
Yeah, there's a little bit of fear there. She doesn't, she's not really one to talk or communicate or give anyone any room, or the dried up part. She's kind of got her back to me, or I've come into the room and she's with her back to me. So we're not really relating with each other at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Is she aware of me? Well, she is now.
Great.
Only just. There's a bit. There's a part trying to pull me out. And I'm trying to. It's the Spacey part.
Oh, Spacey. Okay.
Dissociated. Wanting to take me away from that. Yeah, as it became a question of am I in relationship with her, then that's when the dissociating wanted to come in.
Okay.
Like it was one thing just to describe her in her room,
mm-hmm. Right.
And the colours, that was all very vivid in its unvividness. Yeah, I think there's just a part that doesn't want me talking to difficult parts.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, so far you've had the experience of the parts, the judgment, the fear, and the spaciness.
Yeah, there's a kind of resistance to it. There's a part that's going, hey, didn't we say we wanted to stay light and playful? And how did we get here? How are we suddenly in this room with this crack of, like, what?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And so the light and playful, that's what this other part wants, is the light and playful.
It just didn't want to go into deep. It didn't want to do deep IFS explorative work. Is basically it. Yeah, that's its message.
Yeah.
And yet, within seconds we're in a room with a part.
Very efficient. Yeah.
And so it's scared of going towards it and making contact with it because it doesn't know what is going to happen next.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to just make contact with it so that it knows I'm here. It's scared of her. Yeah, it's sort of related to how my mum is. Don't feel anything. Let's all just be happy. Let's stay light, and there's nothing to worry about. And let's not talk about feelings.
Yeah, it's interesting that the dry part is kind of holding back. It's holding back this complexity and depth, but this playful part is saying that the dry part itself is too deep.
Right, it just fears the message that it will have. The reason, the reason behind its role. I think what's happening, James, is that these parts are coming up because there's another part that's like, oh, you don't really know how to talk to parts. I don't trust your ability to talk to parts. You make it up with your mind. So there's this like array of parts going on. There's the fear and and then there's that part and there's the da-da-da. And I think what's happening is they come up to get me more into self.
They come up to get you more into self?
Yes. So I don't know if you remember there was the keeper of the keys, and the keeper of the keys was part of its role towards the end of my
kind
working
of challenging
with it,
you.
Was challenging me so that to make sure I was in self enough to do this work.
Mm-hmm.
So, or rather, maybe it's not that these parts are coming up to challenge me. It's that they're coming up because I'm not accessing self enough to stop them from needing to come up. Does that make sense?
It does.
I understand what I'm saying in my head or in my body.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
I mean, I guess that's it, isn't it? It's like we're either in parts or in self. So
yeah, and I think that the idea of not going too deep and like that could be the right move. It's as much as the agenda nugget part wants to get the gold. I feel like I'm often telling people we don't have to go to any depth to the scary place. You've already observed this part in a way that you hadn't before. And
that's right.
Just from this vantage point, it sounds like you can learn a lot about it.
Just letting that down. I also have a timekeeper part in that we've been talking for an hour.
Yep.
So I'm wanting to check in with you about that.
I mean, I can continue. I can continue for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. I am trying to have earlier dinners and have a big morning, so I want to get my dinner started sooner than later. But I'm happy to stay and see what happens.
Thank you for telling me that. It's helpful.
But the part that's saying, yeah, let's not go too deep. It's like, right? We have, if we are going to talk for 15 or 20 minutes more, then it makes sense to me.
There's something around, because I have a part that is always wanting to go deep, and that's where the work is, that's where the gold is, that's where we heal and grow and learn and blah, blah. And so I'm wondering, I'm just kind of interested in bringing in this quest for lightness and letting that meet, going in to just meet this part for 10 minutes. Like it's not one or the other. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Either we don't go there or we go to the very depths and explore all the emotion. So there's something in me that wants to just, I guess, be playful with the work, right? So yeah, there's something about what can we do with this cracker part in 10 minutes so that James can have his dinner early and we don't just leave it here.
Yep. And yeah, the only way to find out the answer to that question, but also I think the only way to get to any depth is with whatever is in front of us. this, you see that this part is holding back some other lively parts, and so that is where to go. There's no getting around it. We try that. We've all tried that, kind of skipping over or pushing parts like this out of the way.
What's in the way is the way.
Mm-hmm. And again, you have parts that are saying, don't talk to this part, it's too deep. And another part saying, why bother? We can't learn enough, or whatever else, that it won't be deep enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, don't burden James. He, don't be a burden to anyone. Don't take up more than your allotted time. Don't.
Mm-hmm. And I apologize for not having more of a policy on my time. So
No.
I want to take responsibility for creating that ambiguity.
She doesn't like being called the cracker woman.
Yeah.
I find that a bit demeaning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She feels like she's been doing important work for a long time.
I bet. Yeah, she might not even like being in that space.
I don't think she does like it. It's funny. It's sort of like at the top of a lighthouse, this room, and there's a tiny little window. There is a tiny window, not just all beige, but she can't see. She can't see the ocean that she can hear, or something like that. She's got to do her job. And yet there's this whole ocean all around her, underneath her.
Mm-hmm.
There's a kind of longing from her.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just let her know you're getting all that, even if you don't have the details. Yeah, I've moved now. I'm down on the ground, looking up at the lighthouse now, so can't get back in the room. So that was a move back? It was a move further away?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Looking up at the lighthouse, and I can't sort of get into the room again with her.
Okay. Did you reflect back, like, when you were picking up that she doesn't like this, or whatever else you were noticing about her? Did you reflect that back to her and let her know that you're that you're getting that.
Yeah, I think there was a part that was like trying to show her the ocean, that it was there, and that she could, there was the part that was trying to fix that problem.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. For her.
And that got you kicked out.
That's it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. She didn't want the problem fixed.
Mm-mm. Yeah, we can let parts know that even if we don't, again, have the whole story, that we know that they're there for a reason. We know that the job is important to them.
So I'm sort of climbing up and trying to talk to her through the window. I do want to listen to what you got to say. I'm like screaming above over the seagulls and the roar of the ocean. I do want to. And she's like, well, I need you to let me be as I am.
Okay.
I need to just not try to be fixed and changed, and try to get me off the chair that's sitting on top of the access to the stuff that's underneath me.
Okay.
I like her.
A good part.
She's just straight up, and she's got a sort of solemn, but I'm interested in the fact that it's not all black in there, it's not dark. Anyway.
She want to tell you any more about her role? Just any information.
She says, I'm only going to tell you that it's necessary that I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And I will talk to you when I trust you more.
Okay.
When I trust that you're in self more.
Okay. So that would mean without the fixing part.
Without all the clamoring of parts.
Mm-hmm. Judgment, fear, Spacey, fixing.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what she needs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it. And I appreciate her boundary.
Yeah.
Really, very much. Yeah, I feel a lot of respect and appreciation for her. And the importance of her within the system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So she's saying don't come to me unless you're in a certain degree of self, and you
That's right.
and you understand and respect that request.
Yeah. Completely.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. I'm happy to
Thank you, James.
make a note of this part. If you'd like my help in revisiting it, I can remind us or not.
Yeah, I'm going to go and just make some notes and.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you. I'll let you know if I need help with
okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Have a
so
good
much.
rest of your day. Okay.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, James.
Hey. Been a while.
It has. It's been a long time.
I think 2 months.
Yeah, right.
How's everything?
That's too big a question.
I know. I often regret even just asking people how they are on these calls. It's
yeah. Exactly.
You're right.
How about you?
I should ask, how's anything?
How's anything?
Yeah. Lovely here. Can't complain.
Can't complain.
Yeah.
How's the sound, by the way?
Sounds great.
Okay. Keep me posted because I'm not I don't know. Keep me posted.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, I could say I'm in the full catastrophe, to quote John Kabat-Zinn.
Okay.
Yeah, just nothing particular, just the full catastrophe of it all. So yeah,
well,
I'm not particularly self-led. I'm not particularly aware of, who's up. It just feels like I'm swimming in this crazy ocean of parts with no ground.
Are you in a comfortable place?
Yes, I found myself a comfortable spot.
All right, it's a good start. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, would you like to have a minute of meditation and then talk about some of these parts?
I think maybe 3 minutes would be good, if that's good for you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Got any parts you'd like to work with?
I don't have that amount of clarity at this moment. So started seeing a therapist, and so couples therapy, and she introduced this concept, this infographic, which has 3. I'm going to get it up so I can be looking at it. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
It's from Paul Gilbert, and it's the 3 circles of emotional regulation.
Okay.
And there's a red circle at the bottom, and then there's a blue circle, and there's a green circle. And the red circle is the threat system, and the blue circle is the drive system, and the green circle is the soothe system.
Okay.
And the reason, I've just been obsessed with it since she introduced it in the session, because because I realized that I have spent my life in the red, in this threat system. I mean, it says the function is manage threats, protection, survive, seek safety, you know, so it's that all of those protective parts, and the feelings are anxiety, anger, disgust, sadness, and shame. And I don't, really don't, it's just been so useful to have this visual, because it's just very good for those parts of me that can, I don't know, see, it's not just lines on a page with written information. It's this really clear diagram of, where we can live in our bodies and in our systems. And it just feels really important for me to recognize that I've spent obviously not every single moment, but the majority of my time in my life has been in that place. And
I can imagine, even if it was only some of the time, that those would be the ones you remember,
Right.
The scary stuff seems and feels bigger in our memories.
That's definitely true. And I also know that I just don't, those other two systems aren't familiar to me. This past year, when I have been doing two things, I've been doing, deep dive IFS with you and in other ways. And I've also been training to teach the MBSR. And so practicing a lot. I've had an experience. It started raining, so my internet might go a bit wonky, but I've definitely had more of a taste of that green soothing system, which is, oxytocin, serotonin, from a hormonal point of view. So that's lovely to know that, but it's just, it's information and it's really useful. And I have an excited storytelling part that wanted to share that with you, because it's significant for me. It feels really significant to see that. Even what it is, it's like anything that's sort of simple and significant, is that I know it, I've known it all the time, but to have something very kind of graphic and clear and simple to explain it has been really useful. And motivating in terms of knowing that I don't want to live there. I can't, I'm not going to sustain a full and happy life if I continue to live there. And what do I need to do, to make a difference there?
Yeah. Is, when you say it feels significant to see that, is that mostly, is it having the clarity or the acknowledgement and validation that, like, okay,
that's right. It's a validation of my experience.
Okay.
She started the session by asking about memories, happy memories, like just about the kids first. And it just threw me. I couldn't find any. And that's again, a bit of an exaggeration, but it was really hard to easily find, joyful memories of the kids, And so, because I was just in survival mode. And I was, was trying to right the wrongs of my own childhood. And I was, going full into attachment parenting and losing, and I was already depleted. I was already on empty, and I went into parenting, trying to right the wrongs of my parent experience of being parenting.
Yes.
And completely putting myself to one side and putting them at the forefront. So losing, no sleep and all the stuff. There's on demand breastfeeding and all the stuff that just actually just made it me much worse physically and so I don't have those sort of core, or from my own childhood, those sort of core memories of ease, really, because and I wasn't a threat of violence or abuse, as a child, but I was in survival mode. I was, and there are obviously parts language to bring in here, I was.
Yeah.
So it's an important revelation. And I think, as you say, it's the validation of it, which is one of the really touching elements of it, because it's having someone see that, and also it be in the context of the work that my husband and I are doing together, and it feels very lovely and important. And yeah.
Okay.
So that wanted to come out. And
thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I am continually checking in with my parts that want to, because I'm so curious about all kinds of modalities and the questions that people ask when they're in therapeutic places. And
yeah,
I'm trying to keep those parts in check, although I feel like we could probably talk about that a lot. So just letting you know what's up for me. And
you want to say more?
Let me check to see if I want to say more. No, not about that. I want to do parts work because, I don't know, that's what I'm doing here, and it's what I feel comfortable doing, and I don't have any knowledge that I really feel like I can lean on when it comes to the other stuff. So I need to remind that part of me about that.
That wants to question.
Oh, that wants to examine, question, and sometimes pick apart other modalities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I totally get that and completely understand it. And just FYI, it wouldn't be useful for me in this moment. Because this feels really like relevant and important. And like anything, like for me, it's like, how do I marry these things, these elements, these different modalities? How do I marry them to fit me? So this new information has come in. It's really useful for me. It's really serving me in this moment of my life. So
yes,
that's great. That's all I need to say about it.
Yes. Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. And it wasn't about those levels. It was just about the asking about the kids and the joyful memories and such that I had parts coming up around. But
I totally get that.
I don't know.
Yeah. That was also useful at the time.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because it was important to see that. Anyway, it's all good. I trust her and I trust you, so that's all good.
Great. Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
But I don't suppose I'm any closer to where do I want to go?
I mean, you've already talked about wanting to spend more time in the soothing green circle and less in the anxious, sad, shame, threat circle.
Yeah. And of course, I don't mean that, that's not a judgment on the parts that are there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being in that red zone means being led by those parts, having those parts being in charge.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it takes away your ability to do all the things that self is so good at, be creative and be compassionate when those parts creative. Are in charge.
Mm-hmm. I don't have creative. I don't, and that's not true, of course. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of parts that say you can't create. You don't know how to create. You have no creativity.
Mm-hmm.
That panic when I am, invited to find those parts, that invited to find a creativeness.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah, the ones telling you that you don't have any, they will make that so. The creativity and all the qualities of self can really only come online when the other parts allow space for that.
Right, yeah.
So if those ones are up, we can talk to them. If others are up, we can talk to them. Or we can go wherever you want. Whatever feels right.
There's something around sort of moving towards chaotic situations.
Mm-hmm.
Like this past week, we've had 13 people staying in our house, 9 kids. Yeah.
Wow.
And I said that to someone, they were like, why? and the why is because it's friends and it's school holidays. But it was a really important question because I was like, well, do I actually want that? And parts of me do. There are parts of me that want that kind of busy, intense, lots of people chaos. And there are lots of parts of me that really, really struggle with it and have struggled with it and that I've had to push aside. And it's the same with my work. I work with, a cohort of people that are, very heightened, dysregulated teenagers that, tell me to all sorts of things I won't say for the sake of not bleeping, on a regular basis, and who, it's very chaotic and intense, and the way that some things are dealt with by some staff members isn't ideal and doesn't necessarily. So, what I'm saying is that there are parts of me that move towards that because it's sort of, there's something comforting. I don't know if comforting is the right word, but there's something that's they're drawn to. And in the process of that, there are other parts that are just really unhappy. Yeah. And really just want to be alone and calm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what's sort of a bit present.
Okay. The ones
but I don't know how to unpack that.
The ones that are drawn to chaos and the ones that want to be alone.
Or just want to be sort of regulated and peaceful and have some sort of order. even I realized, James, that a lot of the people I surround myself with have ADHD. It's all just coming out now, in this last, everyone's waking up to this thing. And my husband is one of them. And so the kind of, in his version, kind of disorder and disorganization of everything,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I have those parts too. I have disorganized parts too. So we're in this, and we've been in this state of renovating and building for 3 years, and so I don't know where anything is. And I've just put up with it and just dealt with it, and I'm just going to, this is how it is. We just have to work with it. But actually, it's really hard.
Yeah.
I'm really finding it hard to not know where anything is and not have any order. And so I don't know what I'm saying.
I can tell you what I'm hearing. There's parts that are really struggling with the chaos, whether that is a disordered household, stuff, renovations, people in the house, your coworkers and your students. And they would just like it to be peaceful. And then there are other parts that you feel like are drawing you to those things.
Yeah. That's right.
So far, it all makes sense to me.
Yeah. Because, of course, the ones that are wanting it to be peaceful and ordered are parts too, of course.
Can you say that again? I didn't quite
the ones
catch.
that are drawn, that are wanting the peace and wanting the order, are also parts.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Of course.
Tell me if I'm guessing this right, that when things get too chaotic, then these parts that want the peace, they're feeling strongest, and they're saying, hey, this chaos stuff is crazy. What's wrong with me that I've got myself in this chaotic situation? and maybe they're the ones that are more blended right now, and that's that's why maybe at first you didn't have that distinction between them and self. You're saying, well, yeah, peace sounds like self.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's right. And actually, when it gets really chaotic, the numbing parts come in. They're the only ones that are around.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yes, and so the regulated and peaceful parts, are they the same as the numbing parts, or are they just working in tandem?
No, the regulated ones that want to regulate and numb are more vocal. They're more, as you said, that why are we doing? Why have I created these situations in my life? They're more. They have a dialogue. The numbing parts are just like, shut down, put on the TV, eat chocolate. But yeah.
Okay.
There's not so much dialogue. There's not so many words. It's a lot, life, right? It just is a lot. I have a family. I've got 2 teenagers. I have, all the stuff. It's just, there's so much material. Lot. Yeah, so a lot.
I really don't know how anyone does it. I mean, I feel like my life is so a lot, and on paper, it couldn't be easier. And, I have the same or similar parts that are just always stressed out and always feel like I'm always getting myself in chaotic situations. And
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
You are dealing with a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when everything's going right, it's kind of like, I don't know. I think about our biology, and it's like, well, we're still not designed for all of this. Like
That's exactly right.
Even if everything is peaceful, I'm looking at a cell phone, and that's
right.
so strange.
So strange, and so normalized and present all the time.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, even like you say, even when things are going right, the things I have to do just to sleep normally, like there's this list of non-negotiables that I always negotiate with that enable me to get a good sleep. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
And really, we watched Hunt for the Wilder People last night. I don't know if you've seen it, but anyway, it's good. And they end up going off into the bush, walking in the bush for weeks. These couple. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just, thank you. And I think it's just. I just kept thinking that's how it's supposed to be. We're just supposed to be walking around,
going for really long walks with people that we know and trust all day long.
No, just living in nature, like just living in nature. That's it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was talking about. I mean, I remember reading something like our ancestors would walk 12 miles a day, 15 miles a day, something like that. Yeah. Just.
Sorry.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's right. And we don't have that simplicity. That's just how it is.
Right. So in saying all this, are these parts at all feeling acknowledged? The ones that feel like it is too chaotic?
Yeah, I think everybody's just happy to have a little moment, thus far. There's a sense that they've been seen. Yeah. I don't know how in touch I am with anything, really.
Sorry, you're speaking for what's up for you, and I'm understanding. It sounds like, again, these parts all make sense. So we're acknowledging them, validating them, and if we can, we ask them to unblend and see if we can show them some of that compassion. And if that doesn't happen, well, sometimes that doesn't happen. It's okay too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess the solution isn't remove all the chaos, as much as those parts want it to be done. Now, this is the life that we're living, that I'm living. Yeah. So is it just as simple as make space for the parts, make room for them, show them that you see them?
It's a necessary step for sure.
Yeah.
In these kind of polarities. What I'm often looking out for is one of these kind of dominating, and or do I feel like I'm really blended with one? I'm kind of taking the side of one. And so in that case, I am doing that, acknowledging, but I don't want to use the word balance, like every part should, the balance is necessarily the goal, but balancing how I'm listening and seeing them so that they're all feeling that presence.
Yeah, I think accessing the presence is the challenging at this time. Although it feels a smidge more there.
Yeah. Does any one of these parts feel strongest at the moment, or like it needs the most attention at the moment?
I feel like there's some other part that's kind of waving at me from a distance. I don't know what it is. Anger keeps coming in as a...
Anger's welcome.
I'll just have a look at this. So we're looking at the ones that are drawn to chaos, the ones that are opposed to that. I just want to be... I don't know. I just feel sort of equally compassionate to both of those states in this moment.
Yeah, that's what I meant by balance.
Yeah, no, I got it. It's just, everyone's just trying to do their best to get me through the day. The ones that want the peace are judging the ones that want the chaos, or that are drawn to the chaos.
Yeah, I was guessing that.
Making them wrong.
Yeah, like it's some kind of character defect to want that.
That's right.
We could talk with them more about that.
Yeah. I have a lot of parts coming up now that feel like I really got it wrong.
Really got it wrong in
my parenting of him.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I found him really... I don't want to say things because I don't ever want him to listen to this.
Okay. I'm happy to not share any of this. I think you're doing really great work, and I really appreciate everything that you have shared. You find a lot of his behavior really challenging and adding to the chaos?
He kind of always has. And now it has a name, and its name is ADHD,
Yeah, it helps.
So it has a context, but it's just always challenged by him. And And I blame myself for it all.
Okay.
Because, there's a school of thought that says that ADHD is from trauma. And so I take that path instead of the one that says it's about, the function of the brain.
Okay.
And, yeah, go on.
I would consider that a part, the blame myself for it all part.
Oh, yeah. She's very familiar. But also, he struggled when my daughter was born, and and I was not in a good place in myself. Like I've said already, I was really depleted. And I would get angry.
Yeah.
It's so easy to make myself so wrong in this whole picture.
Of course.
As if I did nothing good and right. And I know that I did.
Yeah. I get it.
But I really remember the times when I got angry, like trying to walk to preschool and trying to get into preschool and having his sister in the pram, and we just moved to Australia, like just too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Getting angry with him for not, cycling fast enough. Just horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So those blame yourself parts, they're strong.
Yeah. They're really, really strong.
Yeah. Just let them know you see them.
I don't.
Okay. Well, you feel
I
them.
don't see them. Yeah. I mean, just give me a sec.
Okay.
Because I'm blended.
Yes. You let them know that you feel them. You feel them in your body. You know that feeling. And you can hear their message from that place of being blended, and you can let them know that you can also hear them from a self place if they will unblend and give you space.
In my throat.
I didn't quite catch that.
Sorry, they're in my throat.
Okay. All right. Just ask them for a little space. Let them know that you can get to know them better that way.
They're pink like strawberry ice cream.
Okay.
I'm finding it hard to unhook.
Okay.
That's okay. I'm doing it. I'm just letting you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very sure that it's me for a while.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Let them know that we know that they're there for a good reason and that their message is important.
They don't want to let go.
Okay.
I'm not, yeah. Just going to take a bit of time.
Okay.
How else can I encourage that?
So there's that more fleshing out of the physical sensations, and kind of what you're seeing. If you're able to see them with their pinkness, that feels like that might already be somewhat of a step back. I think your intuition about just taking your time,
Yeah.
might work.
They're so invested in that story of me being the one to blame.
Right. Feeling curious about that?
Yeah, I am curious. There's still not a lot of space between me and them. Or it.
Okay. Okay. Let them know that you're curious. That if they would like to be understood, then they can share their story without overwhelming you. The more that they try to take over and overwhelm you, they probably have tried that before. And how often does it result in them feeling understood, appreciated?
It doesn't. I haven't had a relationship with them separate. And I'm saying them and I'm seeing two. They're kind of looking at each other, trying to work out if they're sort of open to negotiation or not. So that's a step.
Yeah. I think we're just inviting them to be open to curiosity.
Yeah, they're like twins.
They're invested in this story, this message.
Yeah, they really are.
And they must have a good reason for that.
Yeah, there's a voice that's saying, yeah, you're never going to find that because you're not good at doing this.
Okay. We've encountered that one before.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
So, hello.
Welcome to the fire.
Yeah. And you can let it know again that can be self-fulfilling if it stands right on top of you and demands that you can't get to know parts. That could become true. Just ask for space. Ask if it needs anything in order to give you space.
It's just happy now. It's just like we're just around the fire and it's just lying down and
All right.
tap on its arms and watching. And these other two on a bench on the other side opposite me.
Great. You can invite them to notice you, notice your curiosity. And ask what they want to share with you about themselves or about that message and its importance.
I don't know what's happening now. Is they're kind of just whispering to each other into each other's ears, and what's coming up is a feeling of being left out.
You're feeling left out of there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
The part of it feeling it's a familiar part of being not included in the secrets.
Mm. Okay.
And again, this something is saying you're never gonna, you don't know how to do this. You're not going to get the truth. You're just going to be making it up.
Okay. Maybe just turn to that part, let it know that you see it. And that we both do care about getting it right, not making stuff up. We understand its concern.
There's something about the spotlight of it being a podcast that's I think I'm recognizing now.
Okay. Yeah. Makes it more challenging.
It makes it more challenging. It makes it more important to, in inverted commas, get it right, do it right.
Yeah.
Show
I get that.
the
I get that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Be authentically in self. And so there's a questioning of, am I in self? Am I in a self-like part? And when I do the tiny pieces of, talking to parts on my own, there's less of that. And I'm just seeing maybe that's why.
Okay. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And the kind of, I think, historical precedent as well in terms of the other participants. When I listen to other calls and how they can just come out with the messages that the parts are telling them easily. It is, again, it's that part that's saying everyone else can do things right, well and right, and you can't.
Okay.
It's all there.
Yeah. It's interesting. So the one that thinks that you'd be making it up doesn't think that they would be making it up.
The other participants.
Yeah. Aren't they just as liable?
Mm. Mm. No, because it's me that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's me and my abilities or lack thereof.
Right. Yeah. So it's not just a objective kind of skepticism that this part has.
No, it's very subjective.
Uh-huh.
And I think there's another thing. Like I'm looking at these two, and so I'm going, oh, is it two? Where did that come from? You know, is that right? Did I pluck that out?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't, because I'm used to being blended with them and hearing the story from a blended place. I don't know how to hear the story from a non-blended place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think you were right, and they have secrets. And that's kind of what we are wanting to know. What is their experience, and what is their goals, motivations, anything else that they want to share, you know, in a way that maybe they haven't before.
Yeah.
And also, to that part that's concerned about the podcast, it makes total sense. Of course, you would need a safe space to do that. A space without judgment, and a space without, that comparison to others and getting it right and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just sort of asking it if it, you know, when it listens to my episodes and others, and you know, it doesn't actually feel, it doesn't come up in those times. It doesn't feel bad when it's listening to it. So listening back. So
I have the same experience. In the moment, my part telling me I don't know what the hell I'm doing can be quite active.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do?
Well, the same thing I do with any of them is acknowledge them, you know, in this. So like in this conversation, when I have those parts, I'm asking them for space. I'm asking them for time. I'm saying, if this is something that's really important, a really important message right now, well, can it be a really important message a little after this call? You know, sometimes I am just negotiating for 20 minutes of that matters. I'll get back to you. And I keep a separate little notepad for my parts and my thoughts, separate from the slightly larger one of yours that I'm tracking.
And you do go back to them
Immediately after the call.
Right. But then are they still up because they're not being triggered in the same way as they were during the call?
Less and less. I mean, I've been doing this so long, and I do meet with those parts quite, you know, frequently, but because they're, I get
a
it.
Relationship.
They know I get it, and now it's just more of a tickle that they give me.
Okay. So these parts, they say, you're to blame for it all.
Right.
You're to blame for all of the stuff that's not right in my children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wanted so much not to fuck them up.
Right. Yeah.
I wanted so much not to do damage, you know? I wanted not to do damage and to create trauma.
Mm-hmm. What are these parts afraid would happen if they didn't tell you that, send you that message?
I just get that I wouldn't be held accountable.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's them saying that. I don't feel like I know how to talk to parts right now, James.
Okay. Curiosity. Want to hear what they have to say. They say you're to blame, and then we also heard about from somewhere about how much you wanted to not fuck things up, to not cause trauma.
And damage.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something about, you know, you had the impact and experience of your own childhood. And even though that happened, even though you knew you didn't want to do damage, you ended up doing damage. You've still done that. And that's unforgivable.
Mm.
You ruined these lives, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is they're going to have the same messed up life that you have had.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have the same lack of opportunities that you have had. They're not going to be good, happy, successful people because of what you've done.
Okay.
They're going to have troubled lives and bad relationships. And it's all your fault.
So these parts care dearly about how your children's lives are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hold me responsible for it all.
Okay. What are they wanting to accomplish in that? Like,
if they keep whacking me over the head with it, then maybe I'll stop doing all the things that I'm doing, making it wrong.
Okay.
I'll stop making these mistakes. I'll stop creating more damage.
And how's that been going for them? Do they feel like that's effective?
No,
Okay.
it's not working. So they pile it on more.
Okay. It's not working, but it is painful. It does get a lot of other parts aroused, right?
I guess, yeah. Yes. And some, there's I think they have been around for a long time, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know. There's something that's come in about blaming myself, and that this is a cognitive part.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe there's a connection with blaming myself for, you know how kids blame themselves for parents' divorce, that sort of thing. So maybe that's,
Yes.
But that's not felt. That's thought.
Okay. Yeah. So these ones want to get across the message, or we know they care a lot about how the kids' lives are.
Yeah.
They're using this blaming as a way to whack you over the head, to try to get you to never make any mistakes that cause damage in the future.
Yeah, I'm just on a call. That was my daughter just came to the door, and so then I'm like, yeah, she's got anxiety. That's my fault.
Yeah. Okay.
Is what they say.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, go on.
Well, if they recognize that way of communicating with you doesn't seem effective, is there another way that they would like to communicate, or is there anything else that you can do for them, whether that is in just communicating differently or in something specific that you can do in the world to show them that you understand their message and want to take it seriously?
Well, not do more
their
damage.
message about not doing more damage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just, what I can do is just stop being myself.
Okay.
I'm the problem.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's your self that is the problem, or if there are other parts. If there are other parts that, I mean, even just when you recount your memories of times when you maybe weren't at your best with your kids, how much of that was self or parts?
Oh, parts, 100%.
Right.
Well, not 100, but, yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when I say I'm the problem, I'm not really referring to self.
Yes, I understand this. That's what these parts are saying. And so this is more of getting some separation of, okay, self is the curious one. These parts are the blaming ones who have a good intention and care about something really important. And somewhere there are also the parts that they're so upset with.
They just really know what it is to be unhappy, to have an unhappy childhood and an unhappy life.
Yeah.
And how much work has taken and is taking to come to something other than just unhappy.
Yeah.
And they don't want that for them.
I think it's beautiful. They're honoring the suffering that you took on as a child. They're highlighting how much work it takes to turn any of that around. And they really want for your kids to have the best lives that they can.
And as they're getting, closer to adulthood, they're doubting more and more that that's even a possibility because the damage has been done. It's like, It's getting too late. It was already too late. Now it's too late.
I get that.
To change anything.
Yeah.
To rectify the mistakes, to undo the damage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And however much truth there is to that, their methods of using that blame is not effective.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would just return to, how would you rather be communicating with me? What do you really want to see me do in the world, in the future? And what can I do for you so that we don't have to have this kind of strained, painful relationship?
Well, what I have to do is more work to get myself to be in a not dysregulated space so that I can be, the loving mother self that they need.
Mm-hmm. So they'd like you to spend more time in a not dysregulated place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But there are parts that feel judged by that and feel like that's more work and
yeah. Well, the word dysregulated, I can see how that might sound judgmental, but I would offer blended versus self-led.
So again?
So dysregulated to me means blended. And these parts want you to spend less time blended with other parts that they see as damaging to your relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that fundamentally I agree with them that that's the aim. That's what self-leadership is spending less time blended with parts that are damaging, whatever.
Yeah.
You might just offer that to them. I know it might seem like a pretty lofty or far away thing, but they are communicating with you. And that's the entire process is, if you can communicate with them, you can communicate with other parts and come to appreciate them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Something's landing. I can sort of see the ecosystem a bit more. Like I've got this sense of the system in front of me. And all the connections between them. Mm.
You mentioned earlier about one part wanting to make another part wrong. And then you talked about making your son wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it sounds like the way these parts have been communicating with you is with that same, they're whacking you with the blame stick.
Yeah.
Is there some other way? What would they like to be doing? How would they like to be exerting their energy? If they could, if it could be done another way.
Well, I don't know if this is real, but there's something about supporting me. In that process of not being so blended with damaging parts.
Okay. Check it out with them. It's all right. You've done a lot. You've put a lot of energy into this conversation, as have these parts. Some next steps. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just feel like I want to get to know them, as in just spend time with them.
Mm-hmm. How do they like that idea?
I'm just distracted by something outside at the moment. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the next step is.
Okay. Check it out with them. Do they see how you getting to know them is a good thing and might serve their goal of you spending more time self-led? I can repeat that if you'd like.
Yeah, I would like you to repeat that, please.
Okay. Okay. You mentioned that you've kind of just felt like you wanted to get to know them.
Yeah, but then other things came in. It was like, you don't do that. You don't do that, though. You don't follow up.
Okay.
You don't get to know parts when you say that you should and that you want to and so on. So that sort of took over a little bit, I realise now.
Right. Okay. Sometimes you do and sometimes you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, in this, I guess the question for me is more how can I get to know them better or continue this,
yeah,
you know, early stages relationship, you know, how can I do that without adding to my load, you know, without it being something that I then get wrong.
Without adding to the I might get this wrong load.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And
that would be a conversation with the part that says you might get it wrong.
You know, and there's something about this drawn towards chaotic life that is that functions as being avoidant of, you know, deepening my connection with self or having time for inner work and so on. It's like I'm too busy. You know, I'm too busy and there's so much going on. I can't just filling up every inch of every day to avoid going in. It's all just useful information.
It is useful. Yeah. And I mean, that's how I'm it's at the end of a lot of these conversations. That's the question. How do we get this on the calendar?
I don't do it. I don't put it on the calendar. Which isn't to say I'm completely inattentive. If something is coming up, I will take the time. I'll go and do a little recording, or I'll write some stuff, or I'll just talk, meet apart. That's particularly up. But that's different from, that's more sort of, I guess that's more firefighting, almost like, in a way. Which is different from deepening relationship to parts that have already been met.
And even that concept of calendaring it might, you know, that sounds like it needs to be an hour-long appointment. You know, I can see how it might sound that way. And it's like...
That's right. Exactly, yeah.
So...
But James, I know that I have met many parts.
You have?
I started doing calls with you, and I've said that I will calendar them in and meet them again, and I have for a bit, and then I haven't. And that's okay. You know, this is a complex life. This is the full catastrophe. So if a part is up, if it's just that, you know, a part is strong, I meet it, we spend some time together, and I haven't yet gone back to them. Like, that's just how it is. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
I have a whole life ahead of me. I have a whole, you know.
Yes.
Time to. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, really. I'm just trying to lighten the intensity of the expectation.
I was trying to do the same when I was kind of retracting the calendar thing. And maybe, I don't know, I would suggest the thing that I do to anyone, which is just tie it to some other habit and make it 30 seconds. You know, there's something that you do every day.
Yeah.
and it could be the thing that you do right after. For me, it's a quick meditation after I walk first thing in the morning, and then I have a couple more reminders that are on. There's another checklist that I use later in the day, and for like work stuff, and it's one of the items on that checklist. Both of those have zero actual time commitment in my world. I'm not. They're not calendared. Like, here's where I'm going to spend 15 minutes doing this. They're just. Are there any parts that are up before I take this next step? Are there any parts that are up that need my attention right now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a general check-in.
That is, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sometimes, and more so when I was kind of newer to this, I was finding myself, I need to spend
Longer time.
I want to meet with the same part over and over.
I think what I'm saying is that I have been doing this, for just over a year with you and in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I have promised to meet with parts, and sometimes I have and sometimes I haven't. But none of it has been to the detriment of my life or my system. Like, it hasn't, not doing it at any point hasn't been a bad thing. Like, it hasn't, maybe they would have liked me to be there even more. But I haven't made things worse.
Okay. I would check that out with the parts that are saying, that are doing the blame, and that are saying they want to see you more self-led and less blended with parts that they see as damaging.
Okay. I think I'm just really trying to not, because what's happening when you say that, I go into blame again.
Oh, okay.
So I go into that again. You see, you can't get it right. You. Yeah, it's very nuanced, isn't it?
Yeah, I see what you mean, though.
Mm. Yeah. Because maybe I haven't caused damage. I don't know. We're assuming that the blame parts are right. That I've done this terrible thing.
I wasn't assuming that they're right, that you've done a terrible thing. I don't think we can be in relationships without stepping on each other's toes, and we can't be in intimate relationships without, breaking a couple eggs.
Yeah, and the ideal, and then we're less likely to break eggs if we're self-led.
Yes.
I've got parts that are like, you're doing fine, you're doing great, it's okay. Don't you're doing really well. It's a continuum. It's not.
Yeah, and they're also not wrong. And if they're going to keep you from communicating with the ones with these blaming ones.
No, they're just standing up for me.
Okay.
They're not trying to stop the process. They're just cheerleadering me, which is welcome, given that I spent most of my life in, with the critical.
So you'd ask the question, how can I do that? How can I meet with these parts without adding to the load of this part that thinks that I'll be getting it wrong? It's an important question.
Yeah.
The part that thinks you'll get it wrong is I think the one to work on that with.
I mean, I'm just aware of the time and feeling like, I mean, that's an hour and a half, which is really long. I appreciate your time so much.
Sure. I'm in no hurry.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it.
Yeah. Just feels a bit sticky.
Yeah. This has been a sticky one. This part that says you might get it wrong, I mean, it's in the background of most of our conversations, I think.
Yeah.
And you have every reason to be concerned about how it would continue to be there in your solo work. So
what's coming up now is something that the therapist said. We had an individual session each first, and what I took away from it was a suggestion that I find, just see how I can be in self a little bit each day. And that was a really useful suggestion, because I recognize there are parts of me that kind of save it all up for a call with you, or that it's only accessible in limited spaces, that it isn't mine to have at any time. And so the suggestion that I could find a little bit, just a few minutes every day, just shifted my thinking around that. Just the availability of it to me. That I could just, maybe that it's just here. I could just find it. I have this story that I can only find. So
parts of me are really hoping that you recorded that conversation, because I'd love to know how she phrased that.
Oh, James. Why?
Because it was helpful for you.
Okay. So I'm just going to return to that. I'm just going to return to that idea that I can just, with curiosity, see how I can be in self every day. That's what that's how I'm going to round this off.
Okay. Yep. And I'll just add again my kind of concluding thoughts, I think, or suggestions for next steps would be to, if the one who thinks you're going to get it wrong is kind of dominating or always present or interfering, then that would go to the top of my list of ones to bring that curiosity to. And then, you mentioned getting to know these ones that are doing the blaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little self check-in every day. Is it an IFS therapist? I'm just asking because you mentioned self.
Yeah, she that's how I found her.
Great.
Because I Googled IFS in my local town and she came up.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, take notes.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing your journey and all of these parts.
Yeah, thanks, James. Thanks for your time.
Okay, you too. Hope
Okay.
to talk with you soon.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows, that might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.